Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Ara Friends. Today, we've got Melony Fuller here with Co-Create Marketing Strategy. She helps us with all our podcasts and marketing. We've got Brea on, and she's going to introduce herself, and we're going to talk about quality today, quality and testing and all that goes with it. So, Brea, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Great. My name's Brea. I run Viratos Solutions, which is a consulting company focusing on bridging the gap between operations and quality. It's really common for those two to kind of butt heads, so I see my role as helping to come in and make sure that the team is unified and everyone's working together, specifically for manufacturing and brand holders in dietary supplements.
All right. Well, I'm going to
have a peacemaker. Yeah. She's a peacemaker.
Yes.
I love that.
Melony, I'm going to have you kick it off today.
Yeah, that's right. I have a little surprise for Tammy. Brea and I discovered that we're going to put Tammy in the hot seat. And Brea is going to ask you some questions, Tammy. She's going to switch roles with you today. And you're going to be the guest of this podcast. And Brea, you're going to be the boss, lady. Okay, take it away, ladies.
Okay, so I have a really, I think, important question for manufacturers, and it could apply to brand holders as well. Setting specifications for raw materials and finished goods is such an imperative part of protecting the business. And it's really common that manufacturers are experts in manufacturing and brand holders are experts in marketing. So when setting specifications, is it possible to partner with the third-party lab to help determine what the right specification, what the right test method is? And if so, what does that look like?
Well, I love working with the manufacturer right in the beginning. I even, tell people, let us work in the R&D stage. Right now, we're working with several manufacturers. I'm like, let me be on with purchasing. Like, get purchasing on the call whenever we have these conference calls. So when they're sourcing material, we can already, figure out what method it's going to be. If we've got a USP compendia, FCC, in something in the Food Chemical Codex or an AOAC method. That way we know where we're starting and not having problems at the end because we've started very strong. So, it would be, a very different request. And sometimes when I say, hey, where's purchasing? They're like, Tammy, we're quality. I'm like, yeah, let's get the person before you involved. And so, yeah, we approach things a little differently, but it's, like a good foundation is what I would call it.
That's great.
Tammy, I have a follow-up question to that. Why is it so critical? And Brea was probably already going to ask this. Why is it so critical for you to get in the beginning when they're purchasing the ingredients?
Right. And Brea knows this better than me, but I will, I'll do my best and then she can follow up. But whenever you are, the lab is not involved or you don't have the correct specification or you don't know the interferences these ingredients are going to have on the methods that you're selecting, by the time you get to the finished product and the release, and then we've, not done our homework, we'll start failing things and there'll be markers in there that don't pass. Then this manufacturer's left with this material that doesn't meet the label claim and they don't know what to do. So then it becomes this huge problem. So, Brea, have you seen this in your past or in you're consulting with other manufacturers?
Yes, I've seen it a number of times, both in my past and with clients that I have today. It causes production delays, which is delay of revenue. It causes rework. That's why I asked if it's possible to get labs involved in setting these specs so that it avoids additional cost of both time and dollars of trying to work out these challenges that we run into after the fact, and additional testing costs, right? Because if we don't work with the labs to make sure we have the right test methods, we may have to test the product multiple times. How often do you see that?
All the time. And so I'll say on the next batch, let's start at the beginning. And I've written an article called Garbage In, Garbage Out. Like, let's start with good quality raw materials. Let's get our specs and our test methods figured out way before we start working. Maybe even give me a sample, a vendor supplier sample, something like a pre-sample before you buy the material. And that's not always, the best way to do it, because when the material gets here, you have to test it again. But, get an idea of what the quality of this material is, kind of back to vendor qualification. But even after that, putting all these ingredients together, this little small batch, let's figure out the interferences right up front. And then we can do studies to prove it's a method problem. The method can't detect this blend. You can write a justification, and by the time you get to your finished product, you've already exempted that test, and you don't have to worry about a failure because you've already proven that, what the interference is, and that's not capable of being tested. So that's back to, we've said this, kind of a broken record. You figure out your scientifically valid methods way in the front, and then you use those at the end. And, it's not every marker is going to be possible to be tested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's so common for manufacturers and brand holders to just, do by input. And then when the FDA shows up, they say, can you show us the justification that says that this is appropriate? And it's really partnering with labs like you to make sure you have the justification in place before the FDA shows up.
Yes. So yes, we'd love to be involved in the very beginning. I'm kind of, I say this over and over again, the R&D stage, the purchasing person, get involved right at the beginning with this, qualifying this material. And then, in this blend, so maybe that's R&D even, the R&D person, when they put the blend together, what can be tested, what can't be tested, and figure all that out. And then I call it, I've written an article on our blog called the FDA story. Get your FDA story for this product. And it's like, a digital file, like a little digital binder of, all the things you've done to prove this blend. And then by the time it gets to finished product, you've got your stability markers figured out, and, all the things you need. You're way ahead of the game. Well, thank you guys for being on this episode, and another nugget of information that'll be, can last, the lifetime of of testing. It's always going to be part of what we need to be doing. And so I appreciate your expertise and being able to come on and talk to us and even quiz me a little bit. This was kind of fun. But anyway, till next time, see you guys.